Hello everybody and welcome to KitHack Model Club. My name is Trimbark3 and in this video I'm going to be doing a deep dive into the workshop, showing you all the tips and tricks, showing you all the buttons that you didn't know to click, and we're going to walk through building an airplane, a boat, and a car. Now if you didn't know, this game was created by the same people who created Kerbal Space Program. And you can feel a lot of that in this game. Although, maybe it's just me speaking, I think this game's a lot better. So first, let's dive into the settings, because when you first open up the game, there's one thing you're really going to want to do. Go in here, go to Input, and change your yaw axis and your roll axis. By default, your roll axis is set to Q and E. And if you're a normal standard keyboard and mouse player, that's not going to feel right. So you need to go in here and change it to A and D. Now as you can see, I already switched these two up, but just quick show you. You can go in here, hit increase or decrease access, click the button, and then click here, click listen, and then hit your new key. Alright, so once you've done that, you might want to go in here and open up your profile. You can edit your player, and you can change your head style, headwear, eyewear style, body style, and the colors, and all that stuff. If you're wondering, I don't actually look like this in real life. Alright, so let's go. I'm gonna start the game, and I highly recommend that you either do the getting started tutorial or play the career, but we're going to jump straight into sandbox so I can show you guys how to build your first one. So we start in the world here. We're on an old abandoned Air Force base in Weirway Bay. I'm going to go to the Jeep here. If you click on here, you can fast travel to any of these build spots, and it's hard to see there because it's so zoomed in, but the map is huge. So when this game was first released as Balsa Model Flight Simulator, the world was much smaller. It's about 4 times larger. There's way more to see. It's way more detailed. I love it. Now let's jump into the workshop and build our first airplane. I'm going to start with no vehicle down here. Okay. And the first thing it's going to ask us to do is select the root vehicle for our new airplane. Typically, with airplanes, you want your root vehicle, or your root part, to be a cockpit. Your root part is the part that everything else is built on. And if you've ever played Kerbal Space Program, you'll get this right away. If not, just follow along. Today, let's see. We're going to use the FL2 Ace Wing cockpit. Click on it, and that'll be our root. Okay, so you can see the grid on the table here. There's an arrow pointing to the forward part of the craft. And we can zoom in and out with the wheel on our mouse. We can rotate the camera by holding the right click. And we can select the part by clicking it with left click. Now, we're going to start by building the fuselage of the airplane. And as you can see, we already have our cockpit. Let's go ahead and put a nose on. Right here, this is probably the most important part, and you're going to get very familiar with it. It's called an adaptive fuselage. And what it does is, it adapts to the shape of the 2 parts attached to it. So I'm going to left click that. You can see it floating here, and you can see it sort of attaches to the cockpit. Click it, good to go. Okay. The next piece that I'm going to put on is the end cap. Now, do I want to use the end cap? Let's see. Let's go over here, and I'm going to select bearings. Okay, they have lots of different nose options, and I think for this one, I'm actually going to go with this one. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so we have these parts attached, but I don't necessarily like the shape of it, how it looks. So what I'm going to do is right click this adaptive fuselage, and I can adjust curvature, which, trust me, does stuff, and flare. And then I'm going to hit 2, which is the move it button, and move the nose in. I'm going to hit 3 to rotate it, and I'm going to rotate it, let's see, down a little bit. You're going to have a little stub nose airplane. How's that? Alright, beautiful. Now's a good time to talk about these buttons up here. Place, offset, rotate, connect, paint, and decals. Place is you pick apart, place it on the airplane. Offset is, like I just did, you can grab it and pull it and move it around. 3 is the rotate. 4 is connect, which you will use to connect batteries and ammunition later on. 5 is paint. You can paint your craft. 6 is decals. You can put everything on. Let's go back to building. Okay, so I'm going to put an adaptive fuselage on the back here, and then I'm going to grab one of the pre-made tails, like this one. There. Beautiful. Alright, so we have a basic main body fuselage. Now let's take a look at these parts down here. We have angle snap, symmetry, internal view, center of mass, center of thrust, aero stability, and part context icons. Okay, so we want to hit center of mass. This just shows you where the center of all the weight of your airplane is. Center of thrust, which you'll see once we put some propellers on here. And then the aero stability is over here. And we'll use that so that we can tell how our airplane's going to perform. It tells you the stability of the plane in the air. So we have a basic body. Now let's throw on some wings. We have some wings over here. Here's the part selector. You can browse by type, manufacturer, feature, collection, everything else. And if you just want to do it like this, all parts, that's a good way to do it too. Hey, confetti cannon. Cool. Alright. So, first thing we're going to do is go back to browse by categories and go to wings. This first wing here, this is called a swept wing. It's a standard wing. We're going to attach that to our root part. As you can see, it kind of attached a little goofy, so I'm going to go ahead and press 2 to adjust the offset and move it up like that. Okay. This little turquoise arrow is showing us our center of lift. We have no lift right now, but we'll get there. And I'm happy with that at the moment. And now let's go ahead. This fin here, this is good for a tail wing. And then we're going to put another one on the top. So here we need to rotate the part, and you can use QEWASD to rotate the part to get it the way you want. We're going to do this. Beautiful. So these are your stabilizers. We still need to put on a rudder and flaps, ailerons, all that stuff. But for now, yeah, it looks like a plane. Why don't we go ahead and put some propellers in. We're going to go in here to propulsion, and for this one we're going to use some electric motors, and we're going to do this, put it right there. Looks good. And to the motors you can directly attach the propeller. So why don't we do that? Because that seems like a good thing to do. Now I'm going to hit 2 so I can offset my propeller a little bit. Make it so the blade doesn't look like it's chopping into the plane. And there we go. So now you see this orange arrow, that's my center of thrust. That's the direction that the thrust is pointing. Later on, I'll get into how you want your center of thrust, center of mass, and center of lift aligned so that you have a good, nice, decent flying aircraft. Alright, so we put in motors, we have propellers. When you have multiple propellers, you want some to contra-rotate so that your plane doesn't row itself in one direction because both of the propellers are going the same direction. But now we need a battery. So let's go back, press 1. We're going to grab this one, and let's see. We want to rotate it, and we're going to put it right there. So symmetrical, meaning the weight will be symmetrical, which is good. And I'm going to move them down into, I'm going to move it back so you can see my center of mass is moving as I move these batteries. And alright, that looks good. Now we're going to put some control surfaces. I'm going to go back to wings, down here. And let's put some control surfaces on. Now you can see it doesn't really want to attach directly to it. Hit the spacebar button, and that will realign the control surface. So I placed those on the outside. We're going to place some inside ones, like this. And this is going to be a very simple, very basic plane. We can adjust it. Turn out great. So now you can see these little buttons here. These are part contexts, and you can right click to show all this stuff about a wing. So we can adjust the sweep, span, chord, thickness, skew, all that. What we're going to do with this one is adjust the span, be smaller so that it fits with the tail wings, and I'm going to rotate it so that it looks like it's actually attached. There we go. And it looks flat. Everything looks good. I'm pretty sure this thing will fly. However, we're going to adjust this one to have a little more span. Okay. Didn't go the way I wanted, but here we're going to do this, move it back out, and then I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to adjust the chord to make it a little bit deeper, adjust the skew, so it's like that, and then adjust the horizontal taper to change the shape. Now I'm going to bring this in. There we go. Alright, and now this one, I'm going to extend the chord a little bit, and do more taper. We're actually going to adjust the span so it's longer. I'm going to adjust the taper again so we get a nice looking shape for everything. Now, as you can see, I am pressing the WASD buttons, and I can see how my center of lift changes as my control surfaces move. Those control surfaces are automatically bound to pitch, yaw, and roll, but you can reset them and you can adjust them. So we still need a rudder. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to hit X so that I don't have part symmetry, because I only need one. And let's see, I gotta figure out which rotation is good. There we go. Now I'm gonna adjust the span, make it the right length. I like it, and I'm gonna adjust the chord and perhaps do that, just to make it look better. And there we go. And move this forward a little bit. What the rudder does is give you yaw for the airplane, which can be useful, depending on your craft, but typically you're actually never going to use it, especially as a keyboard and mouse. Joystick and controller players is probably a lot more useful, but for keyboard and mouse, I just didn't. Alright, so we have a nice looking plane there. It looks like it'll do stuff. We have batteries, we have motor, we have props. Should we try it out? Alright, let's go. Okay, so we built our vehicle. It's out here. We're looking at it. We can left click to grab it. We're going to hit Control R to start the motors, and then hold Shift to increase the thrust. And now click to throw it, and hit C to change our view. There we go. And it certainly looks like the plane is flying. It flies pretty well. Rolling with adjusting pitch, which does this, and then let's see if the yaw does anything. Nope, not really. But I think that's probably because the airplane is really stable. Aerodynamic is there. Okay. Well, to get back to the workshop, I can just hit Escape and go back to the workshop. But what I'm going to do is crash this plane, and I can show you how to repair it. Crashed it. We hit R to pick up our vehicle, and then you can hit R to repair again, and put the vehicle down. Right click so that you're no longer controlling the vehicle, because remember, if your TX, your controller on the left here, is up, that means you're controlling the vehicle. If it's down like that, you are controlling yourself. So now let's go back into the workshop. We're going to do a few things to make it look prettier, fly a little bit better, and maybe give us some wheels so we can take off and land. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is take an adaptive fuselage and try to attach it to the back of these motors. Let's see. It's going to work. Oh, there. Hey, it attached to the propeller. That's great. So now we're going to go into fairings. I like to grab the R0 fairing and rotate it so that it attaches. Oh, arc symmetry is off. Well, that can happen. You gotta remember to fix that. Alright. I'm actually going to move the propellers forward. Sometimes that can be helpful to make part attachment easier. And let's see if we can attach this to the back of the motor. So you can see that fairing attached to this adaptive fuselage, and now if we want to tighten this up, make it a little bit smaller, make it look a little bit less silly, we can do that by going like this. That looks pretty nice. So now we want to move it all back. We can't click the motor, and you see this fairing, this adaptive fuselage, this propeller, they're all actually attached to the motor, so we need to move the motor back. So to do that, we'll hit V for internal view, hit 2 for offset, and now we can select the motor and move it back. And then if we want to hit V while we're in this so we can see what we're doing, we can move it to here. There. Hey, that looks great. So, let's see. I think I do want to make this a little bit wider so it doesn't look so goofy. Extend the span on our stabilizers here. Moving them. That looks good. Okay. And then we are going to add add some wheels, which are under utility. Are they? No? Maybe not? Undercarriage? Yeah, here they are. They're under undercarriage. I'm going to go with a vertical strut for my front wheel. I'm going to hit X to turn off symmetry. And I'm actually going to adjust this so it's a little more centered, like that. Up, like that. Now it's important to remember that planes need a positive angle of attack, kind of like this, to take off. So I'm going to put wheels back here, but we're going to make sure that they're higher up so that the plane will nose up while it's taxiing. Forgot my symmetry again there. So right now they're about even, right? I think I can move these up a lot, like that. Rotate them a little bit. And now, when we put the plane down, we might be able to take off from the ground. Let's check it out. Alright. I'm going to hit Control R, hold Shift, hit C, change my view so I can see what I'm doing. And then let's see if we can lift off. There we go. Roll. Pitch. Fine. Looks good. Let's just dive into the water. Put our go down. Go back into the workshop. So now we've got a working plane that can take off. Let's see how we can make it a little bit better. I think one big thing that would help is we need to look at those are set for roll and that's set for roll. We no longer have good pitch adjustment there. So in order to get good pitch authority, you might want to make this bigger so we have a little more pitch authority. And then I think we need to add a crew member like this, move him into place, and up a little bit. So now we can go in first person view all the time. You also can see it centered a little bit, so let's see if we can grab that. V, look straight on the airplane. Do center down there? Okay. Wait. So we did that, and then I want to add one more thing, which is weapons. We're going to use this Hailstorm gun pod. It's a little mini paintball gun. You can put it right there. And now we've got two paintball guns that we can use to shoot at other planes. If you have paintball guns, you also need an ammo tank. And so what we can do is it automatically puts us into internal view. I'm going to actually go ahead and place this like that, and then move it into place where I want it. Where I want it is in line with this, and then there we go. It's not quite inside, so we want to hide it all the way inside. There we go. Okay, now we need to hit 4, which is the connect button, and make sure everything's connected. Let's see, we've got 2 tanks, 2 guns. I'm going to try and connect these 2 tanks together, so now the guns will share one giant ammo storage. Okay. Let's take a look again. Hit 1 to get rid of that. Plane looks fine. It's probably not going to fly quite as well anymore. And I could tell on our last flight, our max airspeed wasn't really that high, so I'm going to adjust the simulated airspeed down a little bit. Let's talk about the aerodynamic display for a second. Okay, this blue area is an area of stability, and the orange is instability. So you can see these arrows point this way, these arrows point this way. So if your nose is pointed up here, it will naturally want to point down to the center. That makes your plane very stable. Now we can adjust that really quick and then go for our test flight. Move it back. That looks nice. Alright, let's go. Alright, hit Control R, hold Shift, throw it. Now we have first person view, which is how I like it. And you can see, yep, our guns do work. Some control. Our pitch authority is not great, but that's not what we're designing the plane for at the moment. As you can see, it can do a flip. But pretty slow. And then finish. You're going to do a lot of that. Okay guys, so as you can see, we have our starter craft here. And there's a few things I want to talk about. First off is, I went ahead and grabbed the 4 propeller prop right away. Right? But there are other options. So if you go over here, you can see there's a 2 propeller prop. And basically, as you move up in the number of propellers, your maximum thrust goes up, but you lose some efficiency. And then, it's hard to see, but right here it says right click for more info. And here it'll give you a lot more info about it. So your thrust output, 71.4 grams per watt. Your torque, reference power, RPMs at reference power, your efficiency. You can see that one was 88% efficient, this one is 95% efficient, and this one is 85% efficient. Now, this might change in future builds, so don't take those numbers as Bible, but all of these things affect how well your plane's going to fly. And then here you can see the Thundrome ducted fan, which is essentially the electrical motor equivalent of a jet. We're not going to use it on this one, but it's that hidden context menu can really be helpful if you don't know what you're looking at. Okay, so I also wanted to add, let's see, go back to utility, add a light here. Maybe we should add 2 lights. So what I'm going to do is turn symmetry back on, so we have 1 on each side. Or, no, I take that back. We're going to do 1 here, like this. And I'm going to right click it. And I'm going to turn up the saturation. And we're going to go on 1 second flash delay. Okay. That'll be our red side. And if you see here, it says channel T2. So in this game, there are channels, and T means toggle. So that's either on and off. So there's a bunch of toggles, and then there's channels A, B, C, and D. You can see the controls for that in the settings menu, but we'll get to that later on. So now I've placed this one, that one's red, so we might as well make this one green, right? Let's turn up the saturation, change the green, and 1 second flash delay. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and hit 4, which is the connect. We're going to click on this one, connect it to that one, and connect these to the batteries. Okay, so now those lights will work. Alright, and let's see, are we missing anything? Ah, yes, a gun sight. So, if you want to be able to see where you're aiming, it's good to grab a gun sight and go ahead and place it on your craft. Now, these can be a pain to adjust to get them where you want them, but I like to put them more or less right in front of my character, like that. And you'll see. So let's go ahead and fly it. I'm not actually going to fly it, but I'm going to hit the number 2. Oh. And zoom in and hit 2. And there. Now you can see the lights are flashing. Cool. And I'm going to hit C to go into first person view. And as you can see, my gun sight's a little bit off center. So we can go back, fix that. Like this. And I think it needed to go towards the driver's side. And move it this way. And let's see if that does anything close. Okay. Yeah, so now when you shoot, your bullets will approximately go towards the center of that circle. Now it's important to note that paintball bullets in-game work a lot like paintball bullets in life, which is to say that there's a lot of curve to them. Gravity affects them quite quickly. So the bullets will start out heading towards the center of that reticle, but as they go off into the distance, they will head down, which is what that little bottom light part of the reticle is showing. It can be a real pain to adjust this gun sight so that it's precisely centered, but you spend enough time, you'll get there. This isn't a perfect craft, it's just a starter. So there's one other thing I wanted to show you guys. Change in view here, which is stress point indicators. Now, if you've already tried flying a plane and you didn't see them on here for a good reason, I always have my stress point indicators off. But if you want to see where your craft is being stressed while it's flying, turn the indicators back on, you'll get a nice red flashing light whenever they're stressed. And let's see, I'll probably... I might have to pull out a faster vehicle to show you guys what I mean. So here's another craft I made. And this one gets pretty stressed out when it's going fast. So, here you can see, I'm going 500 kilometers an hour, and if I try to pull straight up, this craft is going to rip itself out. And there you saw the stress point indicators, and you saw my craft rip apart, which makes sense. It's pulling a lot of G-forces, and it's just a tiny little RC model, right? Alright, cool. Well, now let's move on to building the car. Okay, so we built a starter plane, and now let's build a starter car. First, we have to pick a root part. I like to pick one of these chassis parts. There's a bunch of different options. I'm going to go with this rectangle, and then what I'm going to do is right-click it, change the length so it's a little bit longer, and change the width so it's a little bit less. And down here you can see the design options. Instead of smooth steel, let's make it paintable. Meaning that when you go into the paint selection up here, you can change the color. Now hopefully we won't see it anyways, but let's move on. So we have our chassis. Next thing we want to do, probably, is put some wheels on it and then build the rest of the car around it. Now there's a bunch of different options in the hubs here. And so here, you can see this part, the steering hub. This is a fixed hub, meaning there's no suspension. and it can steer, but it doesn't have brakes, and it doesn't have a drive shaft. So if you wanted a rear-wheel drive vehicle, you could have a, let's see, somewhere around here, right here, a fixed hub, or a different hub and just have steering in the front. What I'm going to do, what I almost always do, is go to this multi-function hub. We're going to place some in the front and some in the back, like this. So we have our hubs, and you see this little indicator, motor not available. We need to put a motor on it. And so now we'll go to propulsion, and on this car, we're going to do a gas engine. So I'm going to do a 2-cylinder surge engine, and we're going to place it right there. Okay, so we have our engine, and I'm actually going to move it towards the front of the vehicle. And we have an engine, but it doesn't automatically connect to these hubs and make them drive, right? So we need to figure that out. So what we're going to do is go back into propulsion, and down here you see the flexi joint, CV joint, and then these differentials. We need to start out with a 3-sided differential, like this. And then we'll take a flexi joint, CV joint, rotate it to attach to the engine, and then rotate it to attach to here. So now we have power going from the engine to this differential, and we can run another 3-sided differential back here, and another 3-sided differential in the front. And so now we need to hook this drive shaft up to the differentials, and then we'll hook those differentials up to the wheels. Okay, so I will rotate this, attaches to that, and attach it there. Okay, so now we have power running to this front differential. We're going to run power to the rear differential, like that. Okay, and now we're going to attach these to the hubs. Okay. So for some reason it did not mirror there, so let's just try disconnecting. Delete that part. There we go. Symmetry enabled again. And rotate it. There. So now we have power to the back wheels, and you see that indicator light went off. So we know we have power there. We're going to do the same thing up here. Rotate, rotate. There we go. So now we have power to everything, but see an indicator here, we don't have fuel tank. So let's go ahead, grab a couple gas tanks. Maybe we don't need the biggest ones, but I'm a big fan of those. And you can see they have different capacities. Let's go with the red fuel tanks, like this. And now we need to go into connect. Make sure, yes, the gas is connected to the engine. Okay. So we have a working drivetrain. We have an engine. We have fuel. Let's put some wheels on it and take it for a quick testing. Let's go with some hot rod wheels, and it's going to be a little bit goofy trying to get these two attached sometimes. There we go. Got some on the front. Hot rod wheels. Got some on the back. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust these wheels right now. Change the color. Copper. We're going to make them wider, and we're going to up the size. 39 and 72. There we go. Oh, Got my color wrong. There we go. So, in theory, this is a car right. There's one more thing we want to adjust, which is take a look at this. We have our max steering angle. It's default to 15%, and suspension stiffness defaults to 50%. And it should be the same on the back, but I only want to steer with the front wheels, so I'm actually going to turn the steering angle down as close to 0 as I can. I'm also going to check the context menu of our engine and see that our inputs are accelerate. We can also up the reverse so that it reverses a little bit faster. You can set a throttle limit so that you don't let the throttle max out. And you can do a speed clutch, which is a centrifugal clutch, allows the motor to keep running as the shafts stop. This is ideal for cars, but for propellers, it can reduce low speed performance of it. So whenever you're using a gas engine, there's a thing called the speed clutch. Make sure you check that context menu, and it will help you if you're having problems. So let's take this for a little test drive. I'm going to hit Control R. That starts the engines. I don't need to shift up for the throttle, but now you can see that we are driving. I can steer, and yeah, it steers. It sure does. All right. So let's go back into the workshop. I can see that I want to make these tires a lot bigger, so let's see if we can do that. Boost those up to 100%. Okay. And we can adjust our suspension stiffness, and that'll help you go over bumps more easily or less easily. It's up to you. You'll see as you're fine-tuning your vehicle what suspension stiffness you want, but if you're having trouble controlling it, or hitting bumps way too hard or too soft, that's a good place to start. So now we have our base car. We can go ahead and turn it into something that looks like a car. What I like to use for cars is bulkheads. We have these here, and they're essentially stretchable parts that you can use as the front and the back. And I will show you what I mean right here. So we have the part, you can see it attaches. I'm going to turn on symmetry. Oh, it is on, just to make sure I'm getting this thing centered. Okay. So we have a bulkhead here, and we can adjust it by going into part morphing. You can adjust the scale, you can adjust the width, and the height. And I think I'm going to bump the height up a little bit. I'm going to move it up just a hair. And then now, what to do to turn this into a body is go in here and put the adaptive fuselage on it, like that. And now I can press 1 again, hold R, and that will copy this piece. And I can do that. Okay. So now we have 2 bulkheads with an adaptive fuselage in between. Just mess with it, just for fun. Okay, and now I can hit V so I can see this bulkhead. Hit number 2, and we can use that to stretch this part out. Like that. There. So now we have a body. Okay, we still have this goofy thing on the back. What I'm going to do is put one of these on the back. Gonna have a cool little hole. Change the height, change the width, change the scale, and I can hit 2 to move this part in like that. So that's the back of our car. And now we're gonna put one on the front. This, and I'm going to use this end cap. So this end cap we can adjust to as well. Like that. Go like this. Height. Width. Scale. Turn down our height. More like that. And then we can hit 2 and move it in. Move it down. That. And hit this. And you can see now what flare does. And what curvature does. We got a little stub nose car here. Okay. So now if you want to put a person on here, you can absolutely do that. I'm going to go through. Put our guy on there. Click on him. Move him down. It's just his head sticking out. Like that. So now we can drive the car in first person. And then if we want to put a windshield on, there's something really cool. You go into fairings, you see all these parts down here. So what's neat is I can pick one. Let's see. Let's go with the U panel. I'm going to rotate it. So it's like this. And I'm going to X so it's not symmetrical. Here, right now that's blocking your view, right? So we can adjust it. Length like this. Width like this. Okay. Wall height. It's the depth. Okay. We're going to turn it way down, and then what I'm going to do is instead of paintable, we're going to go here to very fast. Now I can move this like that. You go like that. So now we have a windshield. I still need to center it. Move it over. And that's approximately center. You guys get the point. Cool. Looking good. Now, we go back here to this everything else and scroll way to the bottom. So I can goofy. Go way to the bottom. We're going to go ahead and put in the confetti can. Now, I've never used these, so we're going to see what it does. Let's make sure it's set. And let's right click it. Celebrate. Oh, that's what it looks like. So that's awesome. Okay, and that's on channel T3. Now I'm going to put in one other thing. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see, we'll do utility. Here we go. The smoke machine. And we put 2 of those on there like that. And these are also on T3. I'm actually going to switch them to T2. Here you can see. Oh, now I probably shouldn't have turned the smoke machine on in the workshop, but there you go. Alright, let's go for a drive. Okay, hit Control R to turn on the motors again, the engine. And we're driving around. Let's see. Ah, that's a nice first person view with a windshield. And now we're going to drive and we're going to put 3. There's our smoke machine and our confetti cannon. Put 3 again. So, now you can add guns, you can set up skid steering, you can add all kinds of things. If you make a very, very fast vehicle, you're going to want to add some wings, like actual wings, or downforce. You can, if we go into bearings, you can see you can add hubcaps, or not hubcaps, what are these called? Mud flaps, like this. Way up, maybe a little wider. Huh, almost looks like a hot rod, right? And let's see if we want to add some weapons. This time, instead of the hailstorm, we're going to use the thud cannon. This is a 50 caliber paintball round. What you need to know about this is that the thud cannon has a lot of recoil. So in airplanes, if you're using one of these, they can make flying very challenging because, especially if you don't have a very strong aircraft, it will stop you midair. I mean, it's very different from the smaller hailstorm gun pods. Those don't have as much recoil, but this thud cannon has a lot of power. So now we need a 50 cal round magazine, and let's just mount these right on the top for easy loading, I guess. And then we will put another gun sight on, and I can show you guys how you might want to adjust that. These can float. Don't think that it has to actually be attached to the vehicle. There we go. Move it back. So it's right there. Let's go and let's see how it looks from the inside. Need to move it back a little bit, but as you can see right now, the reticle is the guns automatically point towards this forward part of the vehicle. But as you can see, while I'm driving and not accelerating, my bullets are just shooting straight into the ground. And that's not great if you're trying to actually hit somebody. So let's adjust the placement of that gun sight. And I will show you guys how to adjust where your guns are aimed. So, let's start with adjusting the gun sight here. Over a little bit, down a little bit, cool. And if you right click on a gun, you can see that it auto aligns. So this is automatically pointed at the front of the vehicle. You can unclick this, rotate your gun, and you can have them point in any direction you want. However, what I like to do is have all the guns pointed at the center of your reticle and just adjust the whole vehicle so that your reticle is where you actually want to shoot. So now what I'm going to do is hit rotate, and I'm going to click on the root part, and I'm going to rotate the whole car like this. And as you can see, the guns are now pointed up a little bit. It's probably way over rotated, but now when I go into the internal view, you can see my reticle is much higher and the guns shoot up in the air. And so I guess you could use this for an anti-aircraft mission. Alright. Okay, so there's one other thing that I should mention about pumps, which is you don't have to use the standard steering model that the other car used. Here's an example of a craft that I made with skid steering, which means to turn, you slow down some wheels and speed up others. And let me show you what I mean. One thing, we're going to go in here, you can check the hub. I have 0 turn angle, so the wheels don't turn. And then I'm going to show you on the inside, every single tire, every single wheel hub has its own motor attached, and all these motors have different settings. So if I click on this one, you can see steering, I have this one to -100, and let's see, this one is set to -100, this one is set to +100, and this one is set to +100 too. So what this allows me to do is to turn my vehicle without actually turning the wheels. I'll show you what I mean. We just drive. Now, if I want to turn, hit D, and look, it steers without turning the wheels. It's using skid steering, so it's slowing down the tire, speeding up the tire, and it's an alternative option that gives you a lot more maneuverability on the ground. Okay, so we built a plane, built a car, now let's build a boat. Building a boat is certainly different than the other two, but there's one thing you need to remember, which is air and water are both fluids, but water is just a really thick fluid. So you still want to be streamlined, but there's some new parts that we're going to be messing with. And let's see. Find my preferred. There we go. Okay. So first we need to pick a root part. What I like to do with boats is have my root part be a bulkhead. And to make everything very simple, we're just going to go with the one that's already boat shaped right here. I'm going to go ahead and attach an adaptive fuselage to it, like that. And then I'm going to hold R, click on the bulkhead, and attach. Okay, so now move this part forward a little bit. Go into internal view, move this bulkhead back. So now we got a boat. Switch back. And I'm going to adjust this one to be skinnier and less wide. And you can adjust the whole scale of it too. And now I'm going to go back here, adjust this one to just have a smaller scale. There we go. Alright. We'll put an end cap on this. And for that, we're going to turn end cap on. Okay. And let's see. Go ahead and move it in. There's a nice flat boat back. And then let's put a nose cone on it. Ooh. So this is a pre-built boat nose cone, but you don't need to use it. It can be very helpful. So if you're struggling, maybe try that. But I'm going to go ahead and put a nose cone on like that. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. Here, end cap. I'm going to do that. But we're going to change it so that it will be very stretched, very wide, a little more, less height. Now we'll move it with the offset tool. So something like that. Move it up, like that. Got a nice little boat nose going on. And then we can adjust this little flare. So it's got more flare, and more curve. There. great looking boat nose, if you ask me. Okay, so we have a body of a boat. Pretty sure it'll float, but how do we turn it into a moving boat? Well, now let's go check out the special boat parts here. So here you can see they have a step pole, so it's a specialty boat part. A few specialty boat parts. They have pontoons and pontoon caps. They have aviation pontoons, and all those are useful for building float planes or a standard boat. But what I'm going to go in here is grab this marine grade mounting pylon right here, and I'm just going to use one. It's awful big. Let me just spin. Sweep it back, grab it, hit T, move it in like that. We're going to put our boat prop underneath here. So now we can go here and grab the hydro screw prop, and this should attach. I might have the wrong direction. It should attach directly to this. Not exactly sure what's going on. Let's touch that. Here we go. Okay, so now we're going to attach the prop. Here we go. You can see it there. Move this forward and up a little bit. This is not a necessary mounting pylon by any means, but it is very strong. Now we can click this, and you see you could turn it into a pusher prop. So if you wanted your propeller in the front, you could do that, and you can do contra-rotating if you have multiple propellers, but we won't. So let's move on to the propulsion aspect, and I think for this one we're gonna do put some monster battery. We're gonna put a battery on it, and it's that. Down. If we go internal, we can see it a little better. And what do you guys think? That's probably too big of a battery, huh? Let's try a smaller one. Some batteries inside the boat. Now we need a motor. We're going to go with the big motor again, and then we need one this time. I'm going to rotate it around. That looks good. Move it inside like this. Okay. And now we need to use the CV joint to attach that to the propeller. So let's see. Attach that. Attach that. And put it away. Okay. So now we have batteries, we have a motor, they're attached to the propeller, but we need some way to control this thing. We need a rudder. Now, rudder placement on boats is very difficult, and it was not something I had mastered, but from what I understand, you don't want a huge rudder in the water because that will slow you down a lot. And you're probably best off having your rudder behind your propellers, like that. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So I'm going to actually move this forward a little bit. And then I'm going to grab this, move this forward like that. You're going to right click it to adjust the span, extend the cord so you get a little more control. And now we can just double check. Yeah, it's set to the yaw axis. So then you'll use Q and E to steer it. Pick up our boat, run to the water over here quick. Hold shift to get a little bit of throw power, toss it in the water. Here we go. It is floating. So now I'll hit Control R to turn it on. Hold shift to increase the thrust. And then if I want to steer, use Q and E to turn it. As you can see, it turns pretty tough, but I would say that's pretty realistic if you've ever been in a boat that's turning hard. And then let's just turn it all the way up, see what happens. We're going pretty quick. Nice. Buttery smooth. And we flip it. Okay. Now I'll show you a little trick. Hit enter / pocket knife. Like that. And you can enter the workshop wherever you are. So now we can go ahead and paint it. Have a yellow boat. Why not? And there we go. A very basic boat. Let's see. Okay. So the important things to note about a boat is that weight is not necessarily a problem. You can add, for example, a ton of ammo, a ton of batteries, a ton of gas, lots of engines and motors, and you'll probably still float. The real issue with the weight of a boat is where you have it centered, because the faster you go, your nose will pop out of the water and it can quite easily flip you over. The other thing is you can add ballast to a boat and it'll adjust. It's essentially a little added weight. Let's see, let's find it here. It's just a lead weight. It weighs 100 grams and you can use it to make your boat heavier in certain spots if you want. This can be useful for making submarines especially, but also if your boat has some balance issues and you don't want to move your motors or your engine, or you just need more weight to make it sit more evenly in the water, you can add some ballast. Let's go ahead and add some spotlights on here. And oh, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. And you just add some seizure lights on T2. Okay. There we go. You can also add a person for first-person boating. You can add weapons. And you can add some wings, adjust them to keep your nose up or down, just like you would for downdraft in a car. You can use downdraft in a boat. Okay. Now I will show you a boat that I made previously. Here we go. Let's take it out for a spin. Okay. You can see I have guns, I have a gun sight, got my character in there. Let's turn it to chase cam. Hit V, hit Control R. Let's go. Shoot. Steer, sort of. And let's take it out to ride some waves. And what I'm going to do is take this out and show you that once you get outside of the protected area of Weirway Bay, all of a sudden the waves become much bigger and less calm, and if you make a nice boat, they can be really fun to ride. So let's see if we can find one. There we go. Let's see if we can catch some air. There we go. And as you can see, the seas are much choppier now. And I can imagine if you get seasick pretty easily, this would be really fun. Okay, so now that we've built a boat and a car and a plane, let's go over some quick tips that I can give you that might make your life a little bit easier. The first thing I'll say is start every craft with a basic vision of what you want to do, but just know that as you're putting parts on, quite often your idea is going to change. So don't get overly frustrated if you're not achieving what you want, and embrace what you have. There's infinite possibilities in this game. As you can see, I built a tank. It looks pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of it, and that's why I'm showing you guys. But there's a billion options. The second thing I'll say is, if you're really struggling to get a plane to stay together, or take off in the first place, or you can't quite figure out how to get the CV joints to work, or how transmission works, the best advice I can give you is to either head to the workshop or head to the Discord and check out the craft files that other players have put on. Download some that look good to you and just open them up in the workshop, take a look at them, and see how they operate. Move the flaps around, see how your center of lift changes, see how they have their center of mass and center of thrust arranged, and then fly it around and see, okay, this is what this means, this is what this means. My third piece of advice would be, don't be afraid to scrap everything. If it's not working and you're not happy, just throw it away. Start over. That's the fun part about this game, is building all sorts of cool new stuff. And sometimes if you get stuck, it's better just to start fresh. Okay, so a couple more things to add is make sure you make a backup copy of your craft files, because the game does automatically save every change you make. So if you find a really good version of your craft that you're in love with, it's probably best to make a backup copy, and then you can keep editing it. And if you're not happy with all the edits you make, well, just go ahead and reload the old copy. Huh. The other thing I'll say is this game is designed to be modded. So check out the SDK, the software development kit, and you can load that up in Unity, and you can mod this game to your heart's content. And, oh man, I have so many ideas of how to add mods and parts to this game that are going to make it even more incredible. The other thing I'll mention is there is a very powerful scenario editor that you can use to make your own missions, your own scenarios, to fight against AI bots or set up racetracks, and maybe even a quarter-mile drag strip for this car here. And it's definitely worth your time to check out the scenario editor and just see the infinitude of options that you have. It even has scripting, so you can add your own custom code, and I highly recommend you check that out. And even try some of the base game scenarios that are included with the game, because there's a few and they can be really fun. I would also recommend checking out multiplayer online. It's a good place to meet new people, but you can ask them for help, and all the players are super helpful. This game has a great community. While we're on the community, I recommend you check out the subreddit, KitHack Model Club, and join the Discord for lots of information, lots of crafts, lots of cool pictures and videos that people have uploaded. I'll put links to that in the description of the video. I'm going to be posting some more videos, so if you like what you've seen here, or you like KitHack Model Club, make sure to follow me, subscribe, give a like, and you'll see more KitHack videos coming your way. If you want me to troubleshoot your vehicle, go ahead and reach out to me on Discord, and I can help you fix it. And lots of people there are willing to help you fix your vehicles. I know that can be a real struggle if you can't get them working just right. And so I encourage you, again, join the Discord. Lots of helpful people there. I can help you. Just reach out. And with that, I suppose it's time to leave it here. Thanks for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Thanks.